The morning sun hit Silverwood Hills like it always did, sharp and bright, bouncing off manicured lawns and identical beige homes that all looked just a little too perfect. From a distance, it seemed like the kind of neighborhood where nothing bad ever happened. But if you zoomed in, if you paid attention, you'd notice the eyes behind the blinds, the ones watching, judging, waiting. Logan Myers stepped out of his two-story colonial home, coffee in one hand, truck keys in the other. Ex-firefighter, broad-shouldered, and always a little too serious for his neighbor's taste. Logan had moved to Silverwood with his wife Rachel for peace, for quiet, for the kind of life where your biggest problem was deciding what day to mow the lawn. But peace didn't last long in Silverwood Hills. Not when the HOA had its own patrol team. He stopped mid-step, eyes narrowing. There it was, neon orange, flapping in the breeze like it had something to prove, a ticket wedged under his windshield wiper. He peeled it off. Parking angle violation, $175. His truck was perfectly inside his driveway. Inside the house, Rachel was packing Tyler's lunch. She noticed Logan come in holding the paper. "They're doing it again?" she asked, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. She'd been trying to stay out of it. Rachel wasn't a fighter. She was a teacher, calm, smart, and patient. But Silverwood's HOA was testing every ounce of that. Logan nodded. "This is the third citation this month." Tyler, 14 and always filming something, looked up from his cereal. "They think they're actual cops," he muttered. "They've got badges now," Logan said. "It says Neighborhood Enforcement Division." Rachel let out a nervous laugh. "They're just bored old men in golf carts." But the laugh didn't last. Later that afternoon, while Logan was at the firehouse for a night shift, Rachel heard a knock at the door. Two men in navy polos stood outside, arms folded. One wore sunglasses despite the cloud cover. The other had a clipboard like it was a weapon. "Mrs. Myers?" the clipboard guy asked. Rachel stepped onto the porch. "Can I help you?" "We're following up on a non-compliance issue from this morning." "You mean the fake parking ticket?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. Clipboard didn't blink. "We don't issue fake citations. Your vehicle was angled across two decorative bricks. That breaks code." "Decorative bricks," she repeated. "We'll need you to sign this acknowledgement form," the sunglasses one said. Rachel folded her arms. "I'm not signing anything." Clipboard guy's tone changed. "Just slightly. Refusing to cooperate is a violation itself." Rachel stood her ground. "My husband will be home in a few hours. You can speak to him." That's when sunglasses stepped closer. Too close. "You may want to be careful about refusing an officer of the HOA," he said. Tyler, upstairs, had been watching the whole thing from the front window. Quietly, he hit record. Rachel's voice didn't raise, but her eyes hardened. "Step off my porch." The men exchanged a look. Clipboard guy scribbled something down. "We'll be back," he said, and they walked off slow, smug, like they'd won something. That evening, Logan came home to find Rachel pacing the kitchen, hands trembling, voice cracking. "They got in my face," she said. "They treated me like a criminal." He didn't ask questions. He didn't speak. He just pulled out his phone and texted one word: meeting within the hour. He sat across from Cassandra Dale in the HOA clubhouse, a woman whose pearls were tighter than her smile. "Your wife escalated a situation," she said coolly. "She was non-compliant. Our officers acted within protocol." "Your officers threatened her," Logan said. She smiled wider. "I reviewed the footage. They were professional." "Funny," Logan said, "because my son's footage tells a different story." Her smile twitched. For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. "We'll be issuing your household a hostility fine," she said. Back home, Logan sat at the kitchen table, quiet. "They're going to keep coming," Rachel said. "I know. They won't stop." "I know." Then the doorbell rang. They weren't expecting anyone. Logan opened the door. There, lying at his feet, was another orange citation. But this time, it wasn't taped to his truck, it was taped to their front door, and it read, "Unauthorized attitude. Final warning." The camera caught a shadow walking off into the dark. Polo shirt, flashlight, badge glinting. Logan stared into the night. This wasn't just about citations anymore, it had become personal. The next morning felt heavier. The air was still, but Logan sensed movement everywhere, curtains shifting, sprinklers misting over empty sidewalks, and somewhere, a golf cart humming like a predator stalking its prey. Logan stood by the front window in a faded gray t-shirt, eyes scanning the street like a soldier on patrol. Behind him, Rachel stirred her coffee slowly, her free hand clenched into a fist. "I checked the HOA rules again," she said softly. "There's no such thing as an unauthorized attitude violation." "I know," Logan replied. "They're making it up as they go." Then came the buzz. Rachel flinched. It was the Ring camera notification. Movement at the edge of their driveway. Logan opened the app. Two HOA officers, clipboard and sunglasses, were standing at the edge of the property again. Clipboard raised a phone and snapped photos. The angle was strange. He seemed to be photographing the flower bed. Logan stepped outside without saying a word. "Morning," Clipboard said, not looking up. "What's the problem now?" Logan asked. "You've got unapproved flora," Clipboard replied. "Section 8, Article 4C. Only HOA-approved ground cover allowed within 5 feet of the property line. Rachel's lavender plant. Rachel stepped out behind Logan, her eyes wide. You're ticketing us over flowers, she asked. Non-native species. We'll be issuing a fine, Sunglasses said without emotion. Logan's jaw tightened. You're trespassing. That's our yard. HOA jurisdiction extends to shared aesthetic zones, Clipboard said flatly, reciting from some invisible script. Get off our property, Logan said, voice low and deadly. Sunglasses smirked. You're escalating again. Don't make this worse. Logan didn't budge, neither did they. Until Tyler opened the upstairs window and shouted, Smile, clowns, you're live. Both men froze. Tyler held his phone out the window, streaming, red dot blinking. Sunglasses immediately stepped back. Clipboard's tone changed. We'll file this one for further review, he muttered. You'll be notified. Then they turned, golf cart tires screeching softly as they pulled away. Rachel looked at Logan. They're watching us. Good, Logan said. They'll see what happens next. That night, Logan sat in the garage surrounded by receipts, HOA bylaws, and a laptop opened to a live stream chat. Tyler's post from the day before had already hit 30,000 views, with commenters demanding answers, tagging local news stations, and digging into Silverwood Hills HOA leadership. Rachel entered with a blanket over her shoulders. You're going after them, aren't you? Logan nodded. I won't let them scare us, and I'm not letting them do this to anyone else. She looked at him for a long moment, then said, Then we need to show them we're not alone. The next morning, Logan printed flyers. Neighborhood watch meeting, known HOA. Friday, 7 p.m. Our driveway. He walked door to door, slipping them into mailboxes, ignoring the eyes watching him from windows, ignoring the golf cart that trailed him for a full 3 blocks. By noon, the retaliation began. First, an email from HOA compliance. Mr. Myers' unauthorized solicitation of community materials is a code violation. You are hereby fined $250. Then, a knock on the door. Another envelope. Inside, a photo of their mailbox with a TIMESTAMP. Violation. Mailbox paint inconsistent with HOA color guide. Logan crushed the paper in his hand. That evening, Rachel's car alarm blared through the neighborhood. She ran outside to find her rear windshield shattered. Sitting on the seat was a piece of paper. One word, handwritten in bold black marker, ENOUGH. Rachel staggered back. Logan stood behind her in the doorway, fists clenched, saying nothing. That night, police arrived. An officer took down the report, shook his head, and said, We've had 4 complaints about the HOA this month. Same neighborhood, same ... characters. Can you do anything? Rachel asked. Not unless they break the law, the officer said, closing his notepad, but keep documenting everything. Tyler uploaded a video that night, footage of Clipboard and Sunglasses, threatening his mom, the shattered windshield, the citation on the front door. He titled it, They think they run the neighborhood. Not anymore. It hit 50,000 views by morning. Logan checked the comments. One stood out. I lived there. I know what they're doing. I've got files. Let's talk. Logan stared at the screen, then messaged the stranger, name the place. The stranger's message came with an address. A diner 20 minutes from Silverwood Hills. Logan didn't wait. He left Rachel with Tyler, told them to keep the doors locked, and drove through town with his phone buzzing in the cup holder notifications. Rolling in from Tyler's latest video. When he pulled into the cracked parking lot, a man was already waiting, mid-40s, wiry, hoodie zipped halfway up, sitting in the corner booth with 2 coffees on the table, one untouched. You Logan? The man asked without looking up. Logan slid into the booth. Name's Dave Holloway. I lived on Fernview, house on the corner with the big oak tree. Before, they tore it out. Logan stared. They evicted you. Dave gave a crooked smile. Not officially. But when they buried me in violations, froze my gate code, and sent private security to escort me off the lawn, I figured the message was pretty clear. He slid a flash drive across the table. What's this? Logan asked. Everything. Photos, letters, HOA, board emails I got from a friend inside, and footage. You're not the first they've tried to push out. Logan gripped the flash drive. They want full control? Dave said. People who ask questions, people like you, they get squeezed. Logan sat back, jaw tight. They shattered my wife's car window last night. Dave looked away. Then you're already on the list. Back in Silverwood Hills, Rachel stood in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear. She'd been on hold with the HOA office for 23 minutes when someone finally answered. It was a voice she recognized, Cassandra Dale's assistant. Hi, Rachel, said calmly. I'm following up on the windshield vandalism. Mrs. Myers, the woman interrupted coldly. We're aware of the claim, but your family's recent online activities violate our community's digital code of conduct. Rachel blinked. You're blaming us. We're issuing a temporary content freeze. Any posts, blogs, or social media activity involving the HOA must be removed within 48 hours. Rachel's voice didn't shake. You don't have the right. The assistant paused, then said, Failure to comply may result in escalation, and hung up. That evening, Logan returned, tense and silent. He plugged the flash drive into his laptop while Tyler hovered nearby. They watched. Photos of citation, stacks, emails, titled Non-Compliant Resident Removal Strategy. A video file named Patrol Night Footage, May 3rd. They clicked play. The screen lit up with grainy night vision. A golf cart pulled up to a driveway. Two men got out clipboard and sunglasses. One had a bolt cutter. They walked to a side. Gates snipped the lock. Opened it, walked inside. Logan paused the video. "That's our house," Rachel gasped. "That was last week. That's when I found the hose moved." They played the rest of the clip. The men wandered around the backyard, checking windows. One looked directly at the security command, turned it away. "That's illegal," Rachel said quietly. "They're not just giving out tickets anymore," Logan replied. "They're casing homes." Tyler leaned forward. "We need to post this." Logan hesitated. "Not yet. Not until we're ready." But it was already too late. The next morning, Logan stepped outside to find the gate lock gun again, and a fresh orange citation taped to the fence. Violation. Unauthorized. Surveillance equipment. Behind him, Rachel's voice shook as she stepped out with her phone. "There's another one," she said, holding up her screen. "A new email from Cassandra Dale. This is a final warning. Further non-cooperation will result in board-led enforcement action," Rachel whispered. "What does that even mean?" Logan took her phone, scanned the message twice, then tossed it onto the porch chair. "They're bluffing, are they?" she asked. That night, the family ate dinner in near silence. The neighborhood outside was too quiet. The normal sounds distant. Dog barks, soft music from open garage doors were gone. Then Tyler's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and stood up fast. "You have to see this." He turned the screen toward them. Someone had posted a new HOA memo to the community Facebook group, effective immediately. The HOA reserves the right to perform random inspections to ensure full compliance and community security. Below it, a photo of their house cropped, zoomed in, with the word unsecured written across the image. Rachel whispered, "They're targeting us." Logan nodded slowly. "No," he said. "They're provoking us." He stood, walked to the back door, opened it hand, set up two brand new motion sensor, then installed two fresh cameras on the porch. "They want a war," he said quietly. "Let's give them one." The flash drive footage haunted Logan for days. The bolt cutters, the turned camera, the quiet invasion of privacy. Silverwood Hills wasn't a neighborhood anymore, was a battleground in khakis and clipboards. But now, Logan had ammunition, and he wasn't planning to fight alone. Early the next morning, he met with someone he'd been texting since the footage leaked online. Civil rights attorney named Nina Sloan. Sharp-eyed, blazer-pressed, and done with being polite to bullies in boardrooms. They sat in a coffee shop just outside HOA jurisdiction. Logan showed her the footage, the citations, the windshield photo. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at the screen, her lips tightening. Then she asked, "Do you want to take them down quietly or publicly?" Logan leaned back. "I want them exposed, and I want them scared." "Then we'll need more than just a flash drive," she said. "We need witnesses, and we need pressure." He handed her a copy of Dave Holloway's files. "We've got both." Meanwhile, back at the house, Rachel was pacing the kitchen floor. Her phone kept buzzing, friends from around the neighborhood, messaging her privately, thanking her for speaking out, but none of them would do it publicly. Fear was thick in Silverwood Hills, and the HOA knew it. That afternoon, another violation. Showed up, a red envelope this time, bold and threatening, pending legal action for defamation of community leadership. Rachel's hands trembled as she held it. Logan read it over her shoulder. "They're bluffing," he muttered. But she wasn't so sure. "What if they're not? What if they actually sue us? Then we hit them first." The next day, Nina filed an emergency civil complaint against Silverwood Hills HOA, naming Cassandra Dale and Rick Donnelly, also known as Captain Rick, for harassment, intimidation, and illegal surveillance. But that wasn't the only surprise. Tyler had spent the week digging through old Silverwood Facebook posts and HOA newsletters. That's when he found a community forum thread from 2 years ago. Title: "Has anyone else been fined for no reason?" There were over 40 comments. People had been bullied, intimidated, even removed from their properties. Some moved away quietly. Others were never heard from again. That night, Logan and Rachel hosted a neighborhood open porch. No flyers, no invitations. Just chairs on the lawn, and 2 words written on a chalkboard: "Enough is enough." And they came at first. Just a few. A neighbor from down the block. A couple who'd been fined for an invisible fence. An elderly man who hadn't left his house since his gate was locked remotely. Then Dave showed up, flash drive in hand, ready to speak. By sundown, nearly 24 people stood on Logan's driveway, talking, venting, connecting the dots. Rachel's voice cut through the noise. Calm but firm. "They're strong because we're all quiet. But if we speak together, what can they really do?" Logan stepped up beside her. "We have an attorney. We have evidence. We have footage. And starting tonight, we're done being afraid." That same night, someone tried to shut them up. just past midnight, Rachel woke to a sound outside, a faint clicking, then a scrape. Logan grabbed his flashlight and stepped out, barefoot, heart pounding. He followed the sound to the side gate. Someone had cut the lock. Again, he scanned the yard. Empty, but at the base of the porch steps, stuck into the wood with a knife, was another red citation. No envelope this time. It simply read, "You're finished." He looked up at the dark neighborhood. Every house quiet, blinds drawn. He didn't say a word, just walked back inside. The next morning they posted the footage. The cut lot, the knife, the message. Within hours, the video exploded. Comments flooded in. Messages from reporters. Offers from whistleblowers. Residents from other neighborhoods started sharing their stories. And then the message that changed everything. It came from a retired HOA board member. Anonymous profile. No name, just a photo of an internal memo. A memo that read, Operation, quiet pressure for residents demonstrating hostility toward board authority. Phase 1, ticket saturation. Phase 2, surveillance. Phase 3, exit enforcement. Rachel's face went pale. They have a playbook. Logan picked up his phone and texted Nina, "We're going public." By Friday morning, Silverwood Hills was no longer just a quiet Colorado suburb. It was a headline. Logan's story had been picked up by 3 local news outlets overnight, and the footage of HOA patrols cutting locks, issuing fake violations, and leaving threats had racked up over 500,000 views. The clip of the knife on the porch had even landed on a popular national podcast about suburban corruption, and now, reporters were circling. Logan stood at the kitchen sink, phone to his ear, speaking calmly to Nina. His attorney, "You said?" the judge responded. She confirmed. The judge had granted an emergency injunction preventing the HOA from issuing further fines or enforcing random inspections. For now, but that didn't mean they would follow it. "You realize this is going to get messier before it gets better," Nina warned. Logan looked toward the living room, where Rachel sat comforting Tyler. The boy hadn't slept well. Neither had she. "They already crossed the line," Logan said. "We're not backing down now." The HOA knew the pressure was mounting and they didn't sit idle. Later that day, Logan received another email. Due to escalating hostility and interference with community governance, the board has voted to begin foreclosure proceedings based on unpaid violation fines totaling $4,250. The kicker, the total had never been that high before. They'd inflated it overnight. Rachel stared at the screen, stunned. "They're trying to take our house." "They won't," Logan replied. "Not if I take theirs first." With Nina's help, Logan filed an emergency motion to freeze all foreclosure actions pending the civil suit. But he knew paperwork alone wouldn't stop them. The real weapon was public pressure, and Tyler was already on it. The teenager had turned their footage into a 10-minute mini-documentary, cleanly edited, voiceover narration, slow pans of each citation, drone footage of the HOA clubhouse. He titled it simply, "The HOA Mafia." It went live at 3:42 p.m. By 6 p.m., it had already reached 80,000 views. People started showing up at the house, not just neighbors, but journalists, community activists, and even a former HOA president from another state who offered to testify. But the HOA was unraveling in its own way. Captain Rick Donnelly, the man in sunglasses and faux authority, doubled down on his patrols. He zipped around in his golf cart with a new loudspeaker attachment, announcing, "Residents must remain compliant. Unauthorized gatherings are prohibited. Security presence will increase." Logan filmed it all. And when Rick passed their house and shouted, "You're under investigation," Logan stepped out, phone recording. "Who's investigating us?" "Rick, you." Rick slowed his cart. "You're disrupting the peace." "No, I'm disrupting your control." Rick didn't reply. He drove off, tires squealing like a villain in a discount cop show. That night, Logan set up a motion-activated floodlight over the garage. He'd bought it at a hardware store in town and spent hours wiring it correctly. A second camera watched the driveway. A third one watched the gate. Then he did something he hadn't told Rachel about. He took the drone out at 1:15 a.m. and flew it quietly over the neighborhood, down every street, around the clubhouse. What he caught stunned him. Behind the clubhouse, under a tarp, were 4 barrels labeled enforcement files, and beside them, tucked under a bench, a black trash bag filled with shredded paper and snapped hard drives. He brought the drone down and reviewed the footage on his laptop. Clear as day. They were covering their tracks. The next morning, Logan emailed the footage directly to the local news stations. By noon, one of the anchors had it posted online with a headline that read, "Silverwood HOA accused of destroying evidence amid harassment lawsuit." Cassandra Dale released a statement within hours, calling the allegations reckless, slanderous, and deeply disappointing. But she looked rattled on camera, sweating, blinking too often, mouth twitching between sentences. Her words didn't match her face. Back at home, Logan received a call from Nina. They just filed a counterclaim. She said, "Defamation. They're trying to buy time." "Can they?" Logan asked. "They can try," Nina replied. "But I've got something they don't: your drone footage. 20,000 angry viewers. And now, a retired judge just called me, offering to help." Rachel sat beside Logan, watching Tyler answer messages from students, veterans, and even former HOA enforcers thanking them. "They're scared," she said. Logan nodded. "Not enough yet." Just then, the doorbell rang. Logan opened it slowly, and froze. Two uniformed county deputies stood outside. One of them said, "Mr. Myers, we need to talk." Rachel's voice trembled behind him. "They called the police." But the deputy shook his head. "We're not here for you," he said. "We're here for someone on your HOA board. A criminal complaint has just been filed." The two county deputies stepped into the foyer with the calm of men who'd seen too much. Logan offered them chairs, but they declined. "We've been reviewing evidence tied to the harassment complaint," one said. "We watched your son's footage, the drone video, and what was recovered from the bags behind the clubhouse." Rachel watched nervously from the hallway. "What does that mean?" she asked. The older deputy cleared his throat. "We're opening an investigation into multiple counts of illegal surveillance, tampering with private property, and possibly impersonating law enforcement." Logan's jaw tightened. "And you're here because—" The deputy nodded toward a document in his hand. "We're serving a warrant for Rick Donnelly, aka Captain Rick." It was the first time Logan exhaled that day. The news hit Silverwood Hills like thunder in a glass house. The self-declared chief of neighborhood enforcement was let out of his garage in handcuffs the following morning, still wearing his HOA-issued polo shirt and mirrored sunglasses. Tyler filmed it from the porch, silent. No words, no captions. Just Rick being escorted into the back of a real police cruiser. The clip reached 300,000 views before lunchtime, and that's when everything changed. National media picked it up first, a local affiliate, then a popular syndicated show. By that evening, the story had gone fully national. The headline read, "Homeowners expose rogue HOA police in wild suburban showdown." Logan's phone didn't stop ringing. Interview requests, legal advisors, families from around the country sharing stories of their own, HOA horror stories. Even Rachel, quiet, thoughtful Rachel, spoke in a live interview from their living room. "I'm not an activist," she said softly. "I'm a teacher, a mom, and I just wanted to live in peace. But when peace means staying silent while people with power abuse it, then maybe silence is the problem." Silverwood Hills was no longer silent. At the emergency HOA meeting the next day, the community clubhouse was packed. Cassandra Dale stood at the podium, visibly shaking, trying to maintain order as residents flooded her with questions. "How long have you known about Rick's criminal history?" One man shouted. "Why were files being destroyed at midnight?" Someone else demanded. Cassandra raised both hands, her voice cracking. "All I ever tried to do was protect this neighborhood." A voice from the back interrupted. "No, Cassandra. You tried to control it." All eyes turned to the speaker, Helen Tripp, a former board member who'd resigned quietly 2 years earlier. She stepped forward, holding up a stack of printed emails. "I warned you back then," Helen said. "When you let Rick start his patrol program, when you approved the fake fines and the intimidation, you called it community engagement. I called it what it was: abuse of power." Gasps filled the room. Helen walked to the front and dropped the stack of documents onto the table. "These are board emails, memos, signed approvals. You knew exactly what you were doing." Cassandra's hands trembled. "Those were internal discussions that got people harassed," Helen snapped. "That nearly got someone hurt." Back at home, Logan, Rachel, and Tyler watched the live stream of the meeting on a neighbor's Facebook feed. The chat scrolled rapidly with angry comments. Then came the moment no one expected. Cassandra stepped away from the podium. Her mouth opened, then closed. She adjusted her pearls once, then again. "I resign," she whispered. The room erupted. Shouts, cheers, some applause. But the battle wasn't over. 2 hours later, Logan got another call from Nina. "We've just been notified," she said. "The HOA's legal team is folding. No counters. They're offering a full settlement." "How much?" Logan asked. "Not just money," Nina said. "They're willing to dissolve the entire enforcement division publicly." Logan didn't speak, just stared at the wall, absorbing the weight of it all. But Nina wasn't finished. "One more thing," she said. "We've got an invitation from a congressional subcommittee. They want you and Rachel to speak on camera about HOA overreach." Logan looked over at his wife. Her eyes were already full. From the porch, Tyler called out, "Dad, you need to see this." Logan stepped outside. Someone had tied a giant white ribbon around the mailbox, and beneath it, handwritten in bold black marker on a piece of cardboard, "Thank you for giving us our neighborhood back." The air in Silverwood Hills was different now, lighter, but tense, as if the neighborhood itself was holding its breath. With Rick Donnelly in custody and Cassandra Dale gone, the silence left behind was eerie. No patrol carts humming by. Numbered citations stuck to windshields. For the first time in weeks, Logan could hear the wind move through the trees. But peace wasn't the end of the story. Logan sat in Nina's office 2 days later with Rachel and Tyler. A manila folder sat on the table between them, labeled simply, "Restricted HOA Board Docs." "Where did this come from?" Rachel asked. Nina opened the folder slowly. It was submitted anonymously through our evidence portal. Most of it is old, but it confirms something we suspected. She slid the first page across the table. It was a non-disclosure agreement dated 3 years earlier, signed by Cassandra Dale and a resident named Marcia Winslow. Rachel's brow furrowed. Wasn't she the woman who just disappeared? One day she was here, the next gone? Nina nodded. She didn't leave voluntarily. According to these files, the HOA fined her nearly $9,000 over 9 months, then offered to waive the balance in exchange for a quick property sale at half the market value. Tyler leaned forward. They blackmailed her, and that's not the only one, Nina said, pulling out more papers. I found 6 others, same pattern. All older residents, all living alone. All houses sold under value. The HOA called it compliance closure. Logan's voice was low. They ran people out of their homes. That afternoon, Nina filed an official complaint with the Colorado Department of Regulatory Agencies, attaching every document, and she sent copies to 3 news outlets. This wasn't about HOA overreach anymore. This was racketeering, and it wasn't just Root Hills. Other neighborhoods across the state were starting to come forward, pointing fingers at the same property management company, the same playbook, the same intimidation tactics. The system had been bigger than anyone thought. By the end of the week, the county scheduled a court hearing to begin formal disbandment proceedings of Silverwood's HOA Enforcement Division. The hearing was open to the public. The room was packed. Logan sat at the front, flanked by Nina and Rachel. Tyler live-streamed the entire thing. Cassandra Dale, now without her pearls and power, sat across the aisle, flanked by 2 grim-looking attorneys. She didn't speak, not once. Nina made her case with surgical precision, presenting emails, video, evidence, and the flash drive Dave Holloway had given them. Then came the drone footage, then Tyler's video, then Helen Tripp, the former board member, took the stand and confirmed it all. The judge didn't ask many questions. His face didn't move, but his eyes followed every word. Then the defense stood. The HOA's lawyer tried to argue misinterpretation, that violations were misunderstood, and enforcement was always by the book. But when the judge held up the drone photo of the shredded evidence behind the clubhouse and asked, "Was this in the book too?" the room fell completely silent. After a long pause, the judge set down the photo. This court finds sufficient grounds for immediate suspension of the HOA's enforcement powers. Furthermore, the board is instructed to freeze all accounts and cease collection activity. A state-level investigation will determine if criminal charges are necessary. Logan exhaled. It was over. But as the room emptied and Logan helped Rachel gather her coat, a familiar face appeared at the back of the room. Dave Holloway. He gave a small wave and walked up with a flash drive of his own. "You might want this," he said quietly. "It's not about Silverwood, but the same management company ran my mother's neighborhood back in '09. They did the same thing." Logan took the drive. "You sure?" Dave nodded. "It's all connected. You just pulled the thread." That night, back on their porch, Logan and Rachel sat side by side in the cool night air. No sirens, no golf carts, no red envelopes. Just quiet. Tyler came out holding his phone. "You're trending again," he said. "But not just because of us. Other people are starting to speak out. Everywhere." Rachel looked at Logan. "Do we stop here?" He shook his head. "Not until every HOA like this one answers for what they've done." From inside, the news played softly on the TV. Coming up next, the homeowners who challenged a corrupt HOA and triggered a statewide investigation. 2 weeks after the court hearing, Logan found himself in a place he never thought he'd be standing before, a congressional subcommittee in Washington, D.C., wearing a suit for the first time in years. Next to him sat Rachel, composed and steady. On his other side, Tyler, dressed like a pro, camera in hand, ready to record. The room buzzed with quiet murmurs. Reporters lined the back wall. Behind the microphones sat 6 representatives. One of them leaned forward and said, "Mr. Myers, you may begin your statement." Logan took a breath, glanced at his family, and began. "I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician. I'm a firefighter, or I was. I moved into a neighborhood for peace, not politics. But my wife was harassed. My son was watched. And we were nearly forced out of our home because a group of unelected neighbors decided they were above the law." He looked straight ahead. "They called themselves enforcers. They issued fake citations. They vandalized property, cut locks, and created a culture of fear, all under the cover of a homeowners association." He laid out the timeline. The videos, the footage, the arrests, the shredded documents. And then he dropped the flash drive Dave Holloway had given him onto the table. "This isn't isolated. This is organized. This is a system. And it's happening in neighborhoods all over this country." For a moment, no one spoke. Then came the questions, sharp, deliberate, and at times skeptical. But Logan held his ground. So did Rachel. And when Tyler was asked what made him keep filming, his answer was simple: because no one believed us at first. But the camera doesn't lie. Later that night, the story aired on national news. The headline ran across the screen: "Family takes down rogue HOA. Lawmakers begin inquiry into national HOA abuse." Back in Silverwood Hills, things were quieter but not forgotten. The HOA board had been dissolved. A volunteer committee replaced it temporarily, focused on rebuilding trust and transparency. Residents were showing up to meetings again this time, to listen, not fight. And Logan, he had an idea. He organized a statewide coalition homeowner oversight for management equity dedicated to tracking HOA abuse, lobbying for legislative reform, and protecting families from the kind of warfare his had endured. Soon, he was meeting with mayors, speaking at town halls, even drafting proposed regulations with Nina's help. No patrol enforcement without certification, no fines without third-party mediation, and no HOA-owned private surveillance. Tyler created the website. Rachel handled outreach. Within a month, Home had over 15,000 members. But the final twist came when Logan got an anonymous envelope in the mail. No return address, no note, just a single document. It was a real estate deed, and the listed buyer, Cassandra Dale, the property, a foreclosed home in another neighborhood, Clearwater Oaks. Rachel stared at it. She's starting over. Logan read, the signature at the bottom. Only. It wasn't signed as Cassandra Dale, that it was signed Christine Vaughn. A new name, a new identity, but the same tactics. Rachel whispered, she's doing it again. Logan picked up his phone and called Nina. This isn't over, he said. She's trying to build the same system somewhere else. Nina's response was calm but firm. Then we'll stop her before it starts. That night, Logan uploaded one final video. No flashy editing, no music, just him, sitting on his porch. If you're watching this, and you've been pushed, threatened, or bullied, in your own neighborhood, speak up. Don't wait for someone to give you permission. You are the community. And if enough of us speak together, the people hiding behind badges and fine print won't stand a chance. The video went viral. Again. Months later, Colorado passed the first bill regulating HOA enforcement powers statewide, and Logan, he didn't go back to firefighting. He became something else, an advocate, a watchdog, a protector of neighborhoods across the country, and every time a family called him for help, worried, scared, unsure where to turn, he'd answer the same way. You're not alone. And they picked the wrong house to mess with.